All right, Craig. I guess it's a two-pronged question. 250 not enough, or maybe our bowling just wasn't good enough.
Yeah, I thought 250 was enough for our bowling attack to defend. At one stage it looked like we weren't even going to get 150. So to actually get up to 250, I think gave us a lot of confidence to get out there and defend that. And unfortunately, I think our fielding today let us down.
Zimbabwe is sort of like in recent times, as a test playing nation, developed sort of a reputation on being the one that the associate nations feel they can do one over. Do you think that sort of gives them more confidence play against Zimbabwe?
Now look, I think a lot of the associate countries I think have really come up over the last few years, and I think everybody's really competitive. I just thought today Netherlands really utilised those early conditions well and put us under pressure. But having said that, with us getting 250 on the board, I felt like our bowling attack was definitely good enough to defend it.
And then you've been in a good run of form of late. How important is this series ahead, 2 months or so ahead of a very important tournament for you to be for momentum?
Look, it is important to get runs and wickets and stuff in any series that you play. Obviously, after this series, we do have quite a long break before we play some cricket again. But it's always nice to be winning at home and have the crowd supporting you and keeping that feeling going, especially leading up to qualifiers.
Okay, Craig. There was a time when we were sort of like in a winning position, but we let that slide, and this has happened a few times in recent memory. How do you arrest that going into the qualifiers?
Look, I think the fielding today certainly let us down. We dropped a few catches which were important catches, and unfortunately, Willie's a guy that you hardly ever see drop catches. He's taken some absolute blinders, but everybody's human and it happens. And we just have to come out on Thursday with a lot more energy, I think, in the field, and not look like we're sort of sluggish or feel like maybe there's a bit of complacency in there that we had them 5-6 down and okay, this game is won. We've got to make sure that we keep up those standards the whole way through.
Okay, please talk to us about the impact of Clive that day with the rescue job. We were down at 98-7. It didn't look like we're going to even reach 150. Talk to us though about the impact of this young player, because people have been talking about having a new generation to step up, because you guys are getting one, especially in age. So talk to us about Clive and this potential match winning performance.
Yeah, no, definitely. I take my hat off to Clive. To come in and get some runs from a very tough situation. I think it just shows that he is maturing a little bit. Obviously, he's played quite a few games, and this is exactly what you want to see. You want to see guys improving, you want to see guys learning, and I'm very chuffed for his performance today, and hopefully it's something that he can build on and only get better from here.
And then,
That's fine. I know you made mention of it just now, but sort of what are the words of encouragement sort of you give to like a young player? So sometimes, like, I know we've talked in the past before, like with Wesley and the likes, but what sort of the message that you guys just sort of had in the dressing room, and especially going into the next game on Thursday?
Oh look, today we didn't play our best cricket, but we still did exceptionally well in certain areas. To be 90 odd for 7 and get 250, I think that's an outstanding effort to do that. So there's definitely some positives, but again, I don't think that in a close game like this you can dissect it too much, because otherwise I feel like it just becomes a little bit too complicated. I think that we just need to come out on Thursday with a bit more energy and put in a much better performance than we did today.
and then how does it feel to have a full strength side in a long while?
Well, unfortunately, we were almost at full strength, and then Sean Williams fell ill, so we're not quite there yet. But I think he'll be ready for Thursday, hopefully, and then then you can come back and say we're at full strength.
All right, Craig. I think some of the major concern, and I think we've asked at press conference after press conference, is the issue of the top order building innings, especially what we saw with the number 7 batsman from Netherlands. He was able to construct his innings. He got a century whilst batting at number 7, something that you wouldn't generally see. What does that also infuse with inside of you coming for Thursday?
Look, I think he batted exceptionally well. To score your maiden 100, under a bit of pressure there, having lost a few wickets, and I think it's something that we can also learn from, because you want your guys to get. You don't want them getting the 50s, 60s. You want them going on and scoring big runs, because that's what gets you into winning positions. So, although we're on the receiving end today, I think there's a lot to learn from them.
Well, there's not a lot to dissect about the team because of how close the match was. It seemed as if a lot of players put themselves in a rush, especially in the early overs. That's number one. Number two, what do you do about that? Secondly, this is your home turf, and you know that Harare Sports Club is complicated. Why do you still have a collapse in spite of the fact that you know this is difficult? Do you feel that Zimbabwe should find a different way to play if they put in first instead of a situation where they just collapse in the first 10 overs?
Now, look, I thought, the first few wickets that we did lose, it wasn't a case of guys being reckless when they're out there batting. Guys did get decent balls. And unfortunately, Wes was run out at the backing up today, and he was hitting the ball really well. You could probably be critical and say maybe Raz and Burley, their dismissals were a little bit soft. But again, I think it's always going to. We know Sports Club is always going to be a little bit difficult early on, and I did feel like guys were trying to apply themselves, trying to do the right things. So that's why we don't want to complicate it too much, because otherwise you change things and then you come Thursday and it doesn't work, and then where do you go to from there? So I think we just got to keep things nice and simple and stick to our strategies.
So do you feel that the strategies you had in place will still work for the rest of the series? And then secondly, when we looked at the way that the Zimbabwe played today, there were a lot of positives, but for the fan that out there, they might think that there was a bit of complacency. What would you say to them?
Look, from the outside, it probably looked like when we had them 5-6 down that maybe there was a little bit of complacency because of the way we fielded from then on. And that's something that we need to make sure that we address. As I mentioned earlier, we've got to make sure that we keep those energies up throughout the game, especially in the field, because we're not a top side that have star players that can come in and blow the other side away. We have to work really hard for our wins, so we have to make sure that we have everything in order. And I think fielding is something that is just an attitude that you have to turn up on the day and want to field and want the ball to come to you and want to run around and dive and things like that, and not feel like it's such a drag to get through 50 overs. You got to want to enjoy it, and if you start enjoying the fielding, then I feel like that change will come.
Right, thank you. Thank you.